All right, there it is. What's going on, everybody? Here we are. It looks like we are live, but I have to go ahead and verify that everything is all set up and good to go before we... Everybody, here we are. There it is. Whoa, hello. That must have sounded weird coming through the microphone. I have my computer volume on anyway. So, okay, here we are. We're ready to go. Let me pop out the chat so that I don't have to have the window open. Hopefully you all aren't too disappointed by not seeing Lisa here with me right now. And I do have to explain that a little bit. It's unfortunate, but the schedules just have not been able to work out. That's the only thing I can say. I mean, we actually did record a video talking about IC, and it just, I couldn't upload it. I couldn't do it. I just wasn't willing to do it. It just wasn't working. It wasn't necessarily that she wasn't on her game or I wasn't on mine. It just, I don't know. It just wouldn't fit. Couldn't do it. So scrapped that. We were going to try again yesterday or Friday, and it just never worked out. So now here we are. You're stuck with me. It's just me. We're going to talk about IC today. First of all, I'm exhausted, folks. This has been crazy. The last couple of days, we have been moving things around down here, kind of reorganizing. I got a new desk. I didn't get a new desk, but I got a used desk. And we moved the other table that I was using over, that I'm going to use that for packing orders and stuff like that. Been moving furniture all over the house, and so I am absolutely worn out. But anyway, since we weren't able to get a good recording done for IC, I thought, you know what? I really enjoy doing the live streams. Why not just do that? Why not go live and just have a discussion with all of you about IC? Why not do that? That would be fun. And that'll be kind of my Sunday video. You know, I mean, hey, we'll have some fun. Why not? Why not do it that way? So here we are. We are live here talking to you. If you are not watching this on Sunday, the day the Redskins beat the Giants, if you're not watching it between the hours of 6 and, say, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you're watching a replay, but that's okay. You can still put your comments down below and ask questions, whatever it is that you want to do. Just don't be upset with me if I don't answer you, because I'm not live anymore. So if I don't answer you live on the video. So, all right, before we get into the topic, I do want to remind you, anybody who's watching this live, or if you're going to watch this on the replay, I'm doing a giveaway of a Fluval FX4. If you didn't watch the most recent live stream that I did, I announced it there. So excited to be doing that. And to enter the giveaway is very, very simple. You have to comment on a video, and I'm actually going to, let's see here. I'm going to put a link in the description. I think I can still do it. For this, I might have to just do it in the chat, but you have to go to my last live stream, which was Thursday, and comment on that video. Just comment, just once, because if you comment more than once, I'm going to disqualify you, because it says very clearly in the description, 1 comment per entry. And that's it. There have been a couple of weirdos that have commented like 78 times in a row. And then I'm like, well, hello, can't do that. It's 1 at a time. So let me see here. I'm going to see if I can do this. I don't know if it'll let me. There it is. There is the link to Thursday's live stream. I will also put it in the description of the video, which I don't know if I can edit this while I am live. Looks like I can. It's already in there. And oh, save changes. There we go. Okay, so the link is also in the feed for this live stream. No, it's not. What did I do? I just put that in the wrong place. Folks, you know, it's been one of those days. I'm going to put it in the description down here while you are watching this. And there we go. All right, so doing a giveaway of the Fluval FX4, and it's going to be this coming Thursday on the live stream at some point in the live stream, I'm going to put all of the comments from that video into a randomizer, and it's going to select a winner. And as long as that person only put one comment in the video and that person lives within the United States of America, I will be sending them that brand new FX4. So I can't do it here. I can't say, well, comment on this video. It has to be that one. So go to last week's live stream. The link is now in the description. I also just put it in the chat. Go to that, and there you go. The link is in the chat. Yep, there you go. Got it. So go to that, put a comment on the video. That's all you have to do, and you might be the one that is selected Thursday at some point during the live stream. Yes, I'm going to get sneaky about it, and I'm not going to tell you when I'm going to do it. Might be at the very beginning of the live stream, might be at the end. You won't know until you watch it. So there you go. Had to announce that. So let's get on with our topic today. We're talking about ick. Ick is, if you've been keeping fish for longer than a month, you're probably familiar with what ick is. You've probably at least heard about it. I've done 2 videos on ick, and I've actually mentioned it in multiple videos, you know, from time to time. I've talked about it in live streams and stuff like that, but I wanted to go a little bit more in depth with it, while still keeping things at the common sense, simple, keep it simple, stupid way that I like to do things. I don't like to overcomplicate things. I don't like to use a bunch of science. I like to keep it common sense, easy to follow, easy to understand, because unfortunately, most people that are in this hobby aren't into it like we are. They run into this problem. They want to get the problem to go away, so they go and watch a video real quick. They don't want all the scientific mumbo jumbo. They want quick, to the point, which I've never really been guilty of, but they want to understand it in a simple way so that it's not overwhelming. Because when you see a bunch of sick fish, you can easily panic and completely lose your mind. And it could be one of those things, it can completely wipe out an entire tank. And if it does that, that's going to be something that could easily get a new fish keeper right out of this hobby. And we don't want to see that happening. We want to see this hobby continue to grow, because I don't have any scientific data or anything about, you know, anything like factual, but I think this hobby is growing. I think it's growing really fast. And I'm basing that on the amount of subscribers, of people that are getting into this YouTube community, the amount of people that are at these events that are done, the trade shows and things like that. For a while there, it looked like almost like doomsday because of all the shops closing down, including mine. I mean, it looked like this was a hobby that was on its way out, but I think it's rebounding and I think it's doing well. So new fish keepers might come across ick and be like, oh my God, what have I done? What is this? And they don't know what to do about it. So that's what this video is going to be for. It's going to be, I'm going to go through the main bullet points on it. What is it? How do your fish get it? What are the symptoms? How do you cure it? And then how do you prevent it? We're going to talk about all of those different things. Don't be shy if you want to put your stories in there. If I missed something or there's something else that you think should be added to this discussion, put it in the chat here down below. Understand that it's not something that sticks with the video once we're done and this uploads to YouTube. So if you have something that's really important that you really feel like you want to share, then you might want to wait until this video uploads and then go put your comment down in there. So there you go. So don't be shy. Let me know what you've got, what your experiences are with it. What is ick? Well, I'm getting ready to talk about that there, Kevin. I think that's just a different way. I lose 90% of my tank when I was a newbie. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people, that's a very common story, unfortunately. So let me change this channel up here. Redskins won today. How about that? I don't know if there's any baseball fans in here, but you know what? I'm a Washington Nationals fan. It was really exciting to see them win the division last night, only to wake up and find out that one of the best pitchers in the league died in a boating accident last night, Jose Fernandez with the Marlins. That was so sad. I was so sad to hear that. Yes, the Dolphins are a rival of the Nats, but man, you don't want to hear something like that. 24 years old, that's just a shame. So, all right, but anyway, I don't want to bring the mood down here. Let's get into ick. Let's get into what it is. Ick is a parasite. I mean, we all know that, right? This is a parasite. I don't know why I keep looking this way. I've got myself on the computer in two different places, and it's really distracting. I need to be looking at you. We need to be talking to each other. But ick is the most common disease, the most common parasite, the most common illness that you will find in this hobby. And it's one of the main reasons, in my opinion, one of the main reasons why it's so common is because of all of what fish go through to get from either the farm or the wild to you. Because one of the primary causes of ick, we're going to talk about in a minute, is stress. If your fish are stressed out, their immune system drops and they're susceptible to these type of diseases. And so when you're talking about traveling from a farm to a distributor, and then from the distributor to a pet store, and then they're in a pet store, which a lot of pet stores, not all of them, of course, but a lot of pet stores don't have the best water conditions in their tanks. And then they're netted again after being in a tank for 2 weeks with kids tapping on the glass, "Mommy, mommy, mommy, I want this one." And then they get put in a bag and they get put into another tank with a bunch of fish that they don't know. It's a very stressful thing. And so with stress being the number one cause of ick, I think that's probably why we see it as much in the hobby, and why you see people that will say, "I bought a fish from this store and it had ick." It might not have had ick before you got it. Once you got it, it might have been the thing that kind of tipped it over the edge and made it fall to the disease. Now, if a fish has ick, you'd probably see it when it was in the store, and you wouldn't buy that particular fish, because it might not just be the white spots. There's other things that go on with ick we'll talk about, of course, in a minute. But usually a fish that has ick, or even the early signs of ick, wouldn't be a fish that you would even want to buy. So, you know, there's, of course, the chance that you buy a fish from a store and it has ick, but it's also a very good chance that, you know, the whole process is what caused it, not necessarily the fish store. I'm in no position really to defend any pet stores. I mean, you know, I'm affiliated with Live Fish Direct. I've never gotten a fish from them that has ick, but you know what I'm saying? It's like, I don't have any reason to defend fish stores other than the fact that I used to be one, or used to have one. So most common disease, common illness, common ailment in this hobby. Now, what I like to do, and this is just my style, this is the way I like to do things. There's a lot of things that are different in this analogy that I'm going to give, but I'm going to do it anyway, just for fun. I like to use human analogies when it comes to anything going on in fish keeping, whether it's aggression, whether it's breeding, diseases, whatever. I like to talk about ick the same way I would talk about chicken pox and poison ivy. Poison ivy being the lesser of the two, because of course, you know, through time, as long as it doesn't spread, poison ivy will go. But if it doesn't go away, you might need a steroid or an antibiotic to get it to go away. If you scratch it really hard, it can spread. So it is a good analogy as far as I'm concerned. Chicken pox, though, you can die from chicken pox. Your fever can get so severe from chicken pox that you can actually die. I had chicken pox as an adult. I thought I had it as a kid. I thought I was inoculated for it as a kid. I got it when I was like 19 years old. And let me tell you something. I wanted to die. I mean, it was a miserable, miserable experience. The fever and everything else associated with it. It's not just the red dots. If you scratch the red dots, they'll spread around. There's all of that different stuff. I like to use when you're going to treat a fish. I like to use chicken pox, poison ivy as kind of a good analogy. And you'll understand more as we go on through this, why that is when we talk about treating it and things like that. So remember, chicken pox, poison ivy, if you're familiar with either one of those things. If you're not, trust me, you don't want them, either one of them. I've had them both, and they both suck just as bad. Chicken pox probably worse, but you don't want either one of these. But if you think about the treatments and you think about what made it worse and all that kind of stuff, you'll understand why it's a good analogy for these things. So what causes it? How do your fish get ick? We just talked about stress. You think about, again, using the human analogy, if you are healthy, if you're happy, if you're not stressed out, if you're in good weather, you know, the weather feels nice, humidity's at the right level, and everything is right in your life, you are less likely to get sick. It's a fact. I'm no doctor, but it's a fact. If you are overweight, ding, ding. If you are completely stressed out, ding, ding. If you're in bad conditions, living in filth, and you know, you spend time in nasty places, you work at a dump or something like that, all of these different things can definitely contribute to your immune system lowering and making you susceptible to disease. Fish is the same way. If they are stressed out, if they're being abused, if they're in horrible water conditions, which is the next thing on the list as far as water conditions, poor water conditions can absolutely do it. Imagine being in a room filled with smoke. Imagine how that would feel. You would eventually succumb to that smoke, wouldn't you? Well, that's the same as poor water conditions in an aquarium. Remember when I said a lot of pet stores don't have the best water conditions in their tanks. Ammonia is high, nitrates are through the roof. There's fish in and out of there. Sometimes there's fish that die. Fish death can certainly cause all kinds of problems in the water. A lot of times there is recirculating systems in these fish stores. So if there is something going on in one tank, it could find its way around to other tanks. So I'm not saying all of them are bad, but there are quite a few pet stores out there that I know of that I would not buy from because of the way their tanks are kept. So they're in stressful conditions. They're in poor water conditions at the pet stores. And by the time you get them, they've just had it and they just completely submit to the disease. And it makes it look like the fish store sold the fish to you with that disease. I don't know. I don't really know how I can use that argument any better, but there you go. Water conditions, stress, cold water. Cold water is another thing because it will thrive in colder water, and your fish's immune system, again, will be lowered. Their metabolism will be lowered. Everything about the fish just kind of slows down, just like it does you. Once again, use the human analogy. When are you more likely to get a cold? In the winter. Why? Because the atmosphere, everything is cold. There's wind. You're probably not clothed properly. You're more open to the common cold or the flu or anything like that. These viruses that travel around. If you're healthy and warm and happy, you're moving better. Everything moves better. The fish are the same way. So if you consider the conditions that keep you healthy, well, your fish need the same thing. Warmth, clean air or water circulation, good ventilation in your house. You understand how they all tie together? It makes sense. The same things that you need as a human being to thrive and for you to be healthy, your fish need the same things. If they don't have those things, then their immune system can drop and they can be open to all of these different types of diseases. And ick would be the first one that they would usually end up getting. And then the next thing that I have in my notes here is aggression. Now, I've seen situations in friends' tanks where I go to their house and I look in their tank and they're like, I think my fish has ick. And it wasn't ick at all. It was bite marks from other fish from aggression. Now, so some people can confuse that, but aggression is also something that can open a fish up to being open to this type of disease, because once again, if you're getting beat up all day long, what's that going to do? It's going to completely stress you out. And if you're completely stressed out, lose. And that's what we're talking about here. That is why stress overall is the #1 cause of ick, because think about everything that I just said. Stress from moving, poor water conditions, cold water, and aggression. All 4 of those things contribute to a stressful life for the fish. If they're stressed, their metabolism lowers, their immune system lowers, and everything just goes. So there you go. That is what's going to cause it. You should be able to know now everything you need to know, because all you have to do is reverse that and make sure none of those things happen, and it shouldn't be a problem for you, but we will get into that later on as we move forward here. So let's see how John, your razor store is gone. Yeah, I mean, I haven't, it's been a long weekend, you know, but last time I shaved myself, I cut myself real bad on the face. And so I was giving that a chance to heal up before How can I prevent ick? We're going to get there. You can quarantine new fish if you suspect they have ick. Yes, you absolutely can. That's another thing that we'll get into. So, okay, I'm going to stay away from the chat for a second until I get through everything that I've got going on. And then if we're having some fun here, we will open things up to your questions, as long as they're questions about ick. If you go too scientific, it's going to be way too far over my head, and I'm probably not going to know answers for you. But what are the symptoms of ick? It's not just white spots, folks. That's the first thing that everybody assumes. It's just white spots. It's not ick unless there's white spots, and that's not necessarily true, because there is, again, looking at chickenpox, I had a devastating fever. I mean, it was a nightmare. I was shivering and just practically convulsing because I was shivering so much from such an extreme fever before my chickenpox came out. And this is the same type of thing for ick. If your fish has those, like, almost like fever symptoms, you're not going to know if your fish has a fever. But I'm saying, what happens when you have a fever? You're sluggish, you're lethargic, you just kind of shut down a little bit, you're slow, your breathing might be impaired, all of those things. All of those can absolutely be signs of ick. They might just not have the little pods on them yet, the little white fuzzy spots yet. They might not have those. So I always tell people, look for signs all the time. You're looking in your tank all the time. I mean, every day. That's why you do it, right? I mean, if you're not looking in your tank, what are you doing this for? So you're looking in your tank. If you see that fish that is acting funny, and you'll know if your fish is acting funny, it's time to react. Don't just sit back and say, well, let that go. No, it's time to react, because it could be the early signs of something much more serious. Could be ick, could be something even more deadly than ick is. Let me just say, folks, I saw somebody in here comment this earlier, and they were absolutely right. Ick is very easy to deal with if you deal with it early. So when you see those signs, when you see the fish is not acting right and something's funny about them, that's when it's time to go ahead and react. You know your fish's behavior, and you're going to know if your fish's behavior is off. So we already talked about the fever-like symptoms. I mean, again, using the human analogy, we already talked about that. There's another thing that your fish can do, again, once before the white spots manifest themselves, and that is excessive scratching. Now, African cichlid keepers know this very well, because African cichlids do it even if they don't have any kind of parasites. They will do the same motion to scratch themselves if they're trying to rummage up food from the substrate, and it is a almost like a dive into the substrate, and the fish just darts back up. They hit the substrate and they come back up. Or they go up to a rock and they kind of bounce themselves off of a rock. If they're doing that, they're scratching an itch, folks. That's what's going on here. So they're not just being funny. They're not being silly. They're not playing games with the rocks. This is to try to relieve themselves of something that's annoying them, either inside their body or externally on their body. They're trying to scratch something off. You have an itch. We can go like this, right? Well, fish can't do that, so they got to find something else to scratch themselves on. If you see African cichlids, you might, during this live stream, you might see one or two of mine do it during this stream. It's not time to panic if this happens every once in a while. But if you see they're doing this in excess, they're just doing it over and over and over again. You see a couple of fish that are just constantly beating themselves up against the substrate or up against rocks, something's wrong. If it happens once, it's not time to go call the hospital. It's just, if it keeps happening, that's when you're definitely going to want to react. And then, of course, mentioned it 100 times, the white spots. These are not white freckles. They are actually white spots that if you look close enough, you'll see are almost fuzzy looking. And if it's really, really, like the ick has really taken hold, it's obviously fuzzy white spots all over them. It could just be a few, or it could be just completely everywhere. It's going to depend on how fast this parasite multiplies, how fast it hatches in the tank and all of that. I've seen fish from one day to the next be completely normal and then be completely covered in white spots. That's extreme, but I've also seen it where it's just a couple. little tiny little white spots. It's like, okay, all right, we need to handle this. We need to get on the ball here and do something about this. And usually when that happens, you can get through it without any problems at all. But if it's that fast where all of a sudden the fish is just completely overwhelmed with these white spots, then things could be bad. Doesn't mean you shouldn't do anything and just let them go, but it's usually pretty far gone at that point. Typically, the only time you would ever see something that extreme is if you've been gone for a few days and you come back and all of a sudden it's just this huge problem in your tank. If you're monitoring your tank, you're doing your job as a responsible fish keeper, you shouldn't have this problem. It shouldn't do that overnight. So there you go. White spots, fever-like behavior. They're lethargic, they're sluggish, they're not acting right. You know something's going on there. And then the excess scratching. The little white spots, that's the first thing to look for. But again, if they're doing either of those other things, something's wrong. It's time to react. So how do you cure it? If you see, let's say you just got this fish and the fish is maybe having a hard time fitting in with the new fish or his new tank mates, and a week or so later it comes down with ick. And this can happen anytime, folks. I'm just saying, when you first get a fish, this is when the stress is at its peak. But whatever time it is, you notice these symptoms. You see the white spots, you see them acting sluggish, you see them scratching up against things. And I don't know why I feel like I have to physically act out all of these things, but I'm just weird like that. If you see these symptoms, what are we going to do? Well, the first thing to know about ick is that ick has a life cycle. It's a life cycle that can be up to 7 days and maybe even longer, but I always just say it can be up to 7 days if the conditions stay the same as when it manifested itself. It can go up to 7 days before this parasite takes hold and then dies off. So it's going to take hold, and it's going to plant all kinds of new little parasites in the tank to come later, and then it's going to die off. So that life cycle is about 7 days. You will dramatically increase the life cycle, meaning, did I just say increase? What I meant to say was decrease the life cycle by raising the temperature in your tank. I went to a shop. It's called Discus Hans. I'm sure you've heard of it. The first time I went in there, I've been up there 24 times. The first time I went in there, I walked in the room and I said, oh my God, it is so ridiculously hot in here. And the first time I met Hans, Hans is like 6'4", and he's thin and he's fit, and he's older than me. I don't know how old he is, but I'm like, no wonder you're so skinny. I mean, my God, it's like Africa hot in here. And he says in his accent, well, I don't have ick in my shop. And that's why he does that. He keeps the temperature really high. He heats the whole room rather than putting individual filters in all of the tanks. So he has the whole room set to about 96 degrees, which by the time people are opening and shutting doors and all that kind of stuff, it keeps the tanks at about 86 degrees. And it makes anybody that's in that room just completely miserable, because it's like, oh my God, I feel like I'm in the Florida Keys. It's ridiculous how hot it is and extremely humid, but it's good for your skin, I guess. Hans is a good looking man. He's got great skin. He's thin, hey, maybe I should turn the heat up in this basement a little bit, but that's why he does it, because ick is not going to go anywhere if the temperature is at 86 or higher. So he keeps it that high because he doesn't want to mess around with ick in his shop. And he doesn't, he uses recirculating systems, so he doesn't want one fish to have it and it circulate through the entire system. So keeping the temperature high is going to be one of your first forms of treatment, and it's also going to be one of your good preventers of ick, is to keep that temperature up. I'm not saying keep your tank up to 86 degrees. A lot of people would frown on that kind of a thing, but it's certainly, having the temperature that high can lead to other problems, but it can definitely keep you from having ick problems. So a lot of times when your fish come down with ick, there's going to be one of two reasons. Either they were just completely harassed and stressed out, or it was too cold in the tank. Ick flourishes in colder water. So I've had so many people email, and John, my fish have ick. I don't know what to do. What temperature is your tank? 76 degrees. There you go. That's your number one problem. You need to raise that temperature up. Now, there's a school of thought that's everywhere. People say, raise your temperature gradually up to 86 degrees. I can't see that really being a huge issue. Every single time I've had this type of thing, I've cranked that heat up and I've not worried about it. Why? Because it's not like the water goes instantaneously from 78 to 86. It's going to take most of these heaters several hours to get the water from 78 to 86, if not 12 hours. So you are gradually raising the temperature up to that 86. That's the first thing I would do. Set your temperature to 86 degrees. If your heater can't do that, or if your heater in the tank is too small, or so, I don't know, put another heater in there to help boost things up, get that water nice and warm. And I guess in extreme cases, you could do a water change with hotter water, but for God's sakes, don't put boiling water in your tank. That is where, if you were to do a 50% water change, and you do a water change with water that's 30 degrees hotter than the water that's in the tank, then it could elevate that temperature up too high and make things worse for your fish. If you're heating it up with temperature or with heaters, though, it's going to gradually raise the temperature up, and it's not going to be something to be concerned with. At least it hasn't ever been for me. There's another thing that you can do in your treatment of ick. Again, first thing you find, when you find that you have ick, the first two things that you need to do are raise that temperature up and add salt. I've always got this around. These are actually containers that we have for sale, but don't think for a second if ick broke out in one of these tanks that I wouldn't bust one of these open if ours was empty. Aquarium salt API, this stuff is dirt cheap. Yes, you can use non-iodized, isn't that what it's called? Non-iodized table salt, but you're going to go through a whole lot of it. This stuff is dirt cheap. Pick it up next time you're on my website, or next time you're at PetSmart or something like that. It costs a couple of bucks, and it's something that you should always have around. African cichlid people, you probably have some around anyway, because you probably use it to buffer your water. So make sure you have aquarium salt. And the number one question that I get asked when it comes to this, and I'm willing to bet, I haven't looked at the chat yet, but I'm willing to bet every dollar I have, all four of them, that in the chat somebody has already asked, how much salt do I put in the tank? Let me see if I'm right. Yes, Prime is CChem. Will you ship to Caribbean? But is salt safe for planted garden? Did he say who the giveaway winner was yet? It is easy to get. How much salt per gallon of water? There it is. See, I told you it's the number one question when it comes to this. I read an article a long time ago that suggested this amount, and I've used it ever since. I'm hesitant to tell people how much salt to put in because, I don't know, sometimes people read it wrong and they can accuse you of giving them bad information or whatever. I had somebody... Sidebar here, I had somebody complain about me because I didn't do a video about a particular topic and his fish died. I mean, so people are always looking to blame anybody they can for a problem. And so I'm hesitant to give an amount, but I'm going to do it anyway. 2 tablespoons of API aquarium salt per gallon of water. Now, this is where things can get a bit tricky, folks, because when you're preventing ick, it's always been my practice, always, to treat the entire tank. Now, somebody said earlier, you can quarantine your fish to make sure that they don't have ick. That's a great idea. I mean, that's a no-brainer. If you have like a 20-gallon aquarium that you're using as a quarantine tank, that's a piece of cake. You can do that. But most of us don't have that. Most of us get 4 or 5 new fish. We're going to throw them right in there with everybody else. If your 4 fish that you just got come down with ick, you need to go ahead and assume that everybody has it. It's like being in a room full of people that have never had chicken pox and throwing a couple of 4-year-olds in there with their snotty noses and their booger fingers. And everybody in that room is going to end up getting chicken pox if they haven't had it before and they're already immune to it. Look at it the same way. Assume that since everybody's been exposed to it, that they're all going to have it, and treat the entire tank. You're going to go through a whole lot of this, 480 teaspoons to treat that tank with salt. At that point, you're just dumping the whole daggone thing in there. But that's what I like to go with. That would be the first two things: temperature, get it up to 86, and then salt 2 tablespoons per gallon of water, and see what happens. And I don't immediately do water changes. I usually give it a little bit of time, because the way ick works, folks, if the little pods are on the fish, those little pods fall off. And when they fall off and they actually embed themselves into the substrate, that's when they burst. And when that happens, all those little parasites are released into the tank everywhere. If you have a recirculating system, they would recirculate through the entire tank. You can't see these parasites, but they're there. Salt is something that, in my experience, again, I'm not a marine biologist, I'm just telling you from my experience, salt, sometimes if you do a dip, which we'll talk about in a minute, you can actually watch the little pods fall off. And it's because of the salt. So at least that's the way I understand it. So I like to do the salt treatment, do the temperature, and give those pods a chance to detach from the fish, and then do a water change. Because then when you're doing your water change and you're vacuuming out your substrate, you're vacuuming all that BS out of your tank too. So I like to give it a chance to do its job, then I'll do my water change. I won't do it right away. A lot of people are quick to jump the gun and immediately do water changes. I'm not telling you that that's bad. I'm just telling you the way I do it. I would give it a chance to work, and then I would start doing my water changes. Now, in my experience, doing those two things, if ick is caught early, is going to nail it. It's going to get rid of it, and it's not going to be a problem. How long is it going to take? I don't know. It's going to depend on your situation. It's going to depend on how much salt you used. It's going to depend on how clean your water was to begin with, all of those factors. But I would expect it to be dramatically shortened from that 7 days that we were talking about earlier. Maybe a few days, you'll notice dramatic improvement on your fish, especially with the white spots and all those things. So doing it this way, in my experience, 90% of the time when it's caught early, if you do those two things, that's all you need to do. And give the salt a chance to do its thing, get that temperature up there, then do a water change, get on maybe a more frequent water change schedule until this is completely cleared out, and then you should be good. And once it's completely gone, then you can start to turn your temperature back down again. Where to put it down to? I like to stay in the 82 to 84 range. That's where I keep all these tanks, and it's always worked out well for me. I don't have ick problems down here, but we certainly had them a time or two at the shop. And the reason for that was we were always bringing fish in and sending fish out, bringing fish in. There was just a constant flow of fish in there, and it happened a few times. And this is what we did when we had it, and it really wasn't a huge problem. But sometimes you went on a vacation, you've been gone for a week, you come back and all your fish are white and fuzzy. And you put the salt in, you raise the temperature up, and it's just not doing anything, and you're afraid that you've gotten to the point where your fish are gonna end up succumbing to this. This is when you would go with a medication of some type, something that is significantly stronger than just the salt and the temperature. You're still gonna want to get that temperature up, but something like this, Super Ick Cure, I'm not doing a commercial, folks. Yes, I sell this stuff, but if I have it, why not just show it to you? This is a product that we have used several times, and it's worked extremely well. We've actually used this product in doing dips on the fish. And for doing a dip, what I'm talking about is taking a packet of this, putting it into one of the small fish containers, the fish carriers that you see at the pet store that hang on the side of the tank, fill that up with water, put the fish in there, or put a packet of this in there, swirl it around, let it get dissolved, and let the water get fully treated in there, and then dip the fish in it for about 5 minutes or so. And that's about all the fish can take at that point. You take them out, put them back in the tank. That's when you can literally watch those little pods sprinkle off of the fish. It's the damnedest thing. I've seen it happen more than once. The little pods just kind of fall off, and you see them on the bottom of the little carrier. It's bizarre. It works. I'm not going to tell you that it's a guaranteed way to get rid of it, but if it's really bad, it's worth a shot, because there's a good chance that you're going to lose this fight if it's super bad. That's not the intended use of this medication, though, folks. I'm just telling you a method that we have used in the past. We had a particular fish that was just bad, and Lisa was like, well, I'm desperate, so let's give this a try. She did it, and that fish survived for a long time afterwards. He was actually in our 150 when the 150 crashed, and he ended up passing in that fiasco. But that fish made it for several more years after dealing with this, and that was a fish that was almost on his way out. She did that with this. But this medication is meant to be used in a hospital tank or in your entire tank. You do need to be warned, though, that this kind of product and a lot of ick medications contain either methylene blue or malachite green, which is a chemical that's going to turn your water blue, which isn't a huge deal. It kind of looks nice, but if it's in there for long enough, it can actually stain the silicone of your aquarium. It can also stain decorations and stuff like that. So if yours has gotten to a place where it's bad enough to use a medication like this, I'm a fan of this medication, but I'm a fan of it if it's used right. I would use them exclusively in hospital tanks. You don't care if the silicone turns blue in your hospital tank. They're doing a thing for Jose Fernandez. It's so sad. You don't care if your hospital tank gets damaged. What you care about is that fish getting cured of the problem. So who cares? Put this medication in there. But I don't know if I would put it in a tank that costs several $1,000s with several $100s worth of decorations in there. I don't know that I would use it in there. I think I would go for the temperature and aquarium salt. There are medications that if you look far enough, you can find that do not discolor the water. That's where I would go if if your scenario is bad, the salt hasn't worked, the temperature hasn't worked, you need something more aggressive, then look around and find one. I'm not sure if Cordon Ick Attack, I've used it in the past, but I don't recall if it colors the water or not. Somebody can let me know in the chat whether it does or not, somebody that might have some right now. But Ick Attack is another product very similar to this that works very well. We've used both, and we've had success quite often with those. My silicone turned blue on my hospital tank. It looked cool. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't look terrible. The silicone in my 240 here is black, so it wouldn't really hurt the tank, but it would certainly hurt my sump, which is like a white color plastic, and it would definitely hurt all that stuff from Universal Rocks. Of course, I could just take all that out if I had to do it, but that tank stays at about 84 degrees. I'm not bringing fish in, taking fish out constantly, and they're taken care of very well. I just did a 50% water change in that tank today, so ick is not really a problem for me, and you're not going to find it being a recurring problem in a well-established tank if you have a good maintenance schedule. We'll talk about that more in a minute. Whew. Yep, back with the Coke today. Caffeine-free there today, though. So now this is something that I jotted down, and it's if your fish have ick at the moment, this is not what you're going to want to hear. But the best way to cure ick is to never let it happen to begin with. Now, if your fish have ick right now, then that's not going to mean anything to you. But the best way to cure it is to never let it happen. How do you let it happen? That is, or how do you keep it from happening? This is why we edit videos, folks. That's what we're going to talk about now, is preventing ick, making sure that it doesn't happen in your tank. There's no guarantees in this hobby, folks. We all know that. But if you want the best chances of not encountering an episode with ick, this is what we're going to need to do. We're going to use some common sense. Because if you're a fish keeper, you know what your responsibilities are. You are a pet owner. You're keeping fish in a glass box. You know what the job is. If you don't know what the job is, then you must be somebody that just found an aquarium full of fish on the side of the road and you decided to take them in. This happens with cats and dogs. People take in strays because they feel bad. They've never kept an animal and they have no idea what to do. It's unlikely that you're in that situation if you're a fish keeper. More than likely, you saw the show Tanked, or I've had people say they saw my videos, and that's what turned them on to fish. I don't know. But more than likely, you saw something that drew you into fish keeping. You did all this research, and so you know what's involved in keeping a happy and healthy tank. Clean water, filter maintenance, making sure that you have the parameters in your tank set properly, making sure you're feeding them regularly, you're on a maintenance schedule. All of these things are what you need to do to help prevent any disease. Now, you can do everything right and your fish can still come down with ick, just like marathon runners die of heart attacks mid-marathon. I mean, the healthiest people on the planet drop dead of a stroke. I mean, things happen, and it's a higher power that contributes to stuff like that. There's nothing you can do about that. But to have the biggest chance of success in this hobby, you need to do what you know you need to do. You can't be lazy. You need to take care of these aquariums as if you're taking care of your dogs. If your dog is sick, you take them to the vet, right? Well, you're not going to take your fish to the vet. Yes, there are fish vets. I've never known one. I've never taken a fish to one, but you can do it. You're not going to do that. If your fish gets sick, it's up to you to fix them. And the best way to fix them is to never let them get sick to begin with, by doing your job, keeping your aquarium clean, responding if you see potential problems. That's something that I was very guilty of when I was younger. I would let things go for a while because I'd be like, it'd be all right. Yeah, it'd be all right. I didn't have a care in the world. It was like, it'd be fine. And then 5 days later, the fish is, and it's too late to do anything. And that was my fault. If you see an issue, you know your fish's behavior. If your fish is not acting right, ask yourself why. Start looking at what's going on, what's different about your tank, what change happened that could have caused something like this. Did you miss your maintenance this week? Have you been lazy and not done any maintenance in a couple of weeks? Have you not been feeding them properly? Is there over-the-top aggression in your tank? All of these things are factors to opening fish up to the possibility of coming down with any diseases, not just ick, but ick is the most common. Like I said before, kind of like the common cold. I mean, if the conditions are right, most likely you're not going to get a cold. However, you've seen people. I know I used to be in this situation where, I worked in a warm place when we had our shop. I was in there all the time, and the air is nice and just a great place, really healthy, really happy, and still come down with the flu or a cold or something like that. You can do everything right and bad things can still happen. Hopefully, after watching this, you know now what to do if you come across stuff like that. If you thought you were doing everything right, but the you-know-what still hit the fan, now you know what to do. I hope. You need to get off your butt. You need to get that temperature raised up. You need to put some salt in there, 2 tablespoons per gallon of water. I know that sounds excessive, but do it anyway. Let that stuff dissolve. Don't completely panic if your fish try to eat it when it's falling down. You can dissolve it in a container and then just dump the liquid in. It's probably the smartest way if your fish are very likely to eat it. I know if we put salt in this tank, which we don't hardly ever have to do, but if we do, they all take it into their mouths and then they spit it right back out again. It's not like it tastes good to them. I guess it doesn't anyway. I've never seen a fish take it into their mouth and actually swallow it. But if you're worried about that, you can dissolve it and then pour the liquid in, and it'd be totally fine. Raise that temperature up to 86 degrees. Knock this thing out really quick. Think about, once again, the common cold. What do you do when you have a cold? What would your mom do when you were a kid? She would bundle you up real tight, get you in the bed with some warm blankets, put a towel over your head, and feed you chicken soup. You need to kind of do the same thing with your fish. You need to warm them up. You need to give them some medicine, not necessarily, I meant to pick this up. Give them some medicine, which, yes, in the situation of ick, this can be looked at as a medication to make them feel a little better. But if that doesn't work, like the cough syrup doesn't work, you might need to go to a more extreme medication. I'm not going to say antibiotic because this is not an antibiotic, but you know what I'm saying. If you get sick to a point where ibuprofen and acetaminophen and things like that aren't working, you go to antibiotics or something more potent than those things. Same thing here. Try the salt. If that doesn't work after a couple of days or so, then use some of the medications, understanding that those medications can affect the color of your water, which can destroy things in your tank. So just be aware of that. That is what you need to know about ick without going over the top, too scientific and too crazy with it. That is it in a nutshell. So I hope that helped. Let me take a look here, scroll back a little bit with the chat and see. You're weird, just kidding. Oh, I know I'm weird. I talk to my fish. Yeah, I do too. I used to sing to my fish. And it was the weirdest thing. I don't know why I did that. But when we had our shop, or not our shop, but when we had all the fish in our garage, I used to sing to the fish when I was feeding them. And then our 18-year-old, who was, I don't know, probably 13 at the time, came in with her phone and she was filming me. And she actually posted it to YouTube. I think it's been deleted, but it was out there for a while. She didn't put it on this channel, but yeah, that happened with me. Are your discus from Hans? They are from Live Fish Direct, who buys their breeding stock from Hans. So technically, yes, they are from Hans. The dogs howl when John sings. My dogs howl all the time. Oh my God, did he just vape? Curse at my fish. Sure. Do we need to reduce salts if we decide to dose medications? Will the two approaches together cause issues? That is a great question, and I never have. So I don't think that it's. I don't think that the two combined would be like a recipe for disaster type thing. But read up on that, because I could certainly be wrong, and I would hate to be wrong. Like I was saying before, somebody alerted me in Facebook that there was a guy that asked a question on one of my live streams. And my answer to him was a very brief answer, but then I said, I will be doing a video on that topic. And confirming you meant 2 tablespoons per gallon. No, I meant 2 teaspoons, Corey. Do you use tablespoons? I use teaspoons. But anyway, told him I'd be making a video on that particular thing. And apparently his fish passed before I'd made a video on it, and I still haven't made a video on it. And apparently he hit the internet bashing me because it was my fault that I hadn't done a video yet on it. Yeah, because you said tablespoons. I'm sorry if I said tablespoons. That's my bad. I did mean teaspoons. Yeah, tablespoons, that's like twice the size of a teaspoon. So yeah, thank you for catching that, Corey. Go figure. You know, Corey's in here criticizing me. Good Lord. No, thank God for that. Okay, you didn't have to put it in caps, Vaughn. I get it. I said tablespoons. Hey, I screwed up. This is why we edit videos. This is why we should not do live stuff and try to talk like we're in a position of authority, because you say something stupid like that and there you go. It ends up coming back in your face because people that are smarter than you, like Corey, call you out on it. Okay, I get it, everybody. I said tablespoons. That's fine. Okay, so we're not really getting any questions here except for letting me know that I said tablespoons. I meant to say teaspoons. Any way to cure fin rot? Yeah, we're not talking about that on this one. It's teaspoons, Kevin. It's teaspoons. I am so sorry that I misspoke there. Should edit this. I should go in with YouTube video editor and edit it. I don't even know if I can do that. Why aren't you cool like Joey? Because I'm just not. I'm just me. I'd make sure when I do water changes that newly added water is close to the tank temp to avoid shocking fish. Good. How can you identify a breeding pair? They'll start having babies. No, Alex, it's going to depend on the kind of fish that you're talking about. I mean, if you're talking about angels, discus, most cichlids, they're going to hang around each other and they're going to swim together, and they'll be in an area kind of cleaning it up and getting it ready for their spawning. You'll definitely know, and they'll work together and stuff like that. So you'll know for sure. Somebody said, John, did you get a new camera? Looks sharper. No, I did some different things with the lighting in the hopes that it would help. So if it worked, then great. I'm really happy about that. So Ick Attack doesn't stain but turn the water brownish. Oh, okay. 3 teaspoons and a tablespoon. Yeah, okay. I'm sorry. I said tablespoons, but I meant teaspoons. Sorry about that, folks. Are New World cichlids as prone to bloat as Old World cichlids? Been told to feed my New World fry as much as they can eat, and bulging bellies aren't bad. Bulging bellies on fry is actually pretty common because they're so small and they're just little eating machines. I'm not saying it's a good thing, but I've seen a lot of bulging bellies in fry. Some of them so much that you can like see the color of the food. Any plans on getting back into selling cichlids? I sure would love to, but I don't think I will because we just lost too much money doing it. And it was a lot of fun. I really had a good time working with customers and you know, helping them through their problems and helping them with picking new fish and all that. But we just lost too much money. I mean, we're still digging out from that. So, you know, I mean, a lot of it might have had to do with us not doing things the right way. I don't know. Wow, I can't stop burping. Good Lord. John, can you do that voice again? It was funny. I don't know what voice you're talking about. Did I do a voice? I don't remember doing a voice. I didn't realize you had closed. I drove down to King George last week. Are you kidding me? And your name is You're Welcome. So I'm going to say I'm sorry. That is a story that I've been told by many, many people. And I'm not trying to be a jerk. I don't know what more we could do to let people know that we're closed. Google Maps, I'm pretty sure it says permanently closed. The website has no fish on it. It doesn't have a business address or anything like that. I mean, if there's something that was that lists us still as an active business at that particular address, then I'd like to know that and I'd like to change it. But I've tried everything to let everybody know that we're not there anymore and haven't been since last January. So it's been almost 2 years now. When you put in KGTropicals, it says permanently closed. Yeah, there you go. We closed our fish store because we were sinking fast. We lost too much money on it. I mean, I could do an entire live stream talking about the mistakes that we made with our fish store, but I'm not going to do it because I'm done with all of that. I'm not, you know, reliving the past and all those things. It's not my thing. I mean, I want to move forward. I wasted too much time doing that. I don't know if that makes sense, but I wasted too much time feeling sorry for myself and looking back and saying, oh man, I wish we could have made it better. It's done. I mean, and I don't particularly care to continue rehashing it every single time. Okay, just be careful to put a salt and medicine in coolie loaches. Yes, I'm assuming that's Jose P. That's a good point. You do need to be careful with any of these medications. There are some fish that can be harmed by it. So yes, definitely need, and that's true with all medications, not just salt or anything like that. No reason to be sorry. You're welcome. I mean, I'm not trying to, you know, I'm not trying to cry the blues or anything. I'm just saying, you know, I'm that person now. I wasted too much time, you know, being sad about it. I'm moving forward now, and I'm going to do my thing. So, all right, folks. So it's going to be time to start wrapping things up, but I want to talk about something that has nothing to do with a question or anything else. Had an idea the other day, and it was something that I thought about while I was mowing my grass. I don't know. I thought about doing something a bit outrageous to celebrate 50,000 subscribers, which we're a long way away from. It's going to take a while to get there, but I had this idea, something that I thought would be funny. What if for my 50,000 subscribers celebration, I was to get this tattooed on my body somewhere? I mean, I shouldn't say that because people are going to be like, do it on your arm, do it on your butt, you know, whatever. I'm thinking either left arm somewhere or calf. I want to put it somewhere that's a smaller tattoo in a bigger area, because what I think I would end up doing is once I get to 100,000, add to it. Like everybody gets koi fish tattooed on them. I don't want to get a koi. I'd want to get an arowana, like a silver arowana, because that's what got me into fish keeping, like an arowana wrapped around my logo. So I don't have big arms. I'm not a big muscle guy, but if I was to get my logo here smaller, and then when we get to 100, add the arowana around it, I think that'd be something that would be fun. But if on the calf with the Al Borland shorts, if I was to stand up right now, I'm wearing the Al Borland shorts as we speak. Calf I've thought about, but I want to finish arms first and then maybe do calf, because half the year nobody's going to see the calves. You know what I mean? So your bald head. No. Nothing is going to be from here up. No offense to anybody that has tattoos from here up, but from here up, I just think it's weird. I'm just not into it. Tramp stamp. Yeah, that's good thinking. Actually, I can't do that because I had back surgery and I have a big scar there, and you should get a giant smile face on your stomach. You know, did you all ever see the picture on the internet? You can type it in. I'm sure you can find it pretty easy. Some guy got the top of 6 beer cans tattooed going down his stomach, and it's a 6-pack. It's the funniest thing. And it's like this big, giant, fat guy that did it. Oh, that was funny. If you look it up, 6-pack tattoo, I guess is probably where you'd find it. But anyway, I thought that would be something that would be cool to do if when we hit that 50,000 subscriber mark, get the logo tattooed, probably either on one of these arms. Actually, this side is already reserved, so it'd be this side. I think that'd be fun, and I'll take you to the tattoo shop with me, not live, because if I cry, I'm going to want to end up editing that out. But you know, do a video of it and show that as like a celebration for 50,000 subscribers. I've got a few months, I'm sure, at least a few months, if not more than that, till that's going to happen. But, you know, we'll have to see. Trump or Clinton, I'm not talking about that. DIY guy, give them to me. Just kidding. I'm so sorry. Yeah. John, that is dumb. Okay. Thank you. 50, then you dance. No, not dancing. If you're in Vegas, you can have them. I don't know what's going on here. Dance with your fish at 50,000. So, all right, folks, look, we've been going for an hour. This is kind of a impromptu little live stream here. I've had a lot of fun with it. I hope that you have been able to get something out of this. If you're somebody that's been dealing with ick, or you want to prevent ick or something like that, I hope that my long-winded explanation of these things is going to be something that helps you out, because in the end, we all want to have our tanks look nice and our fish be healthy, and we don't have to worry about anything, right? So once again, if we do our jobs, then it should be that way all the time. So do your job. You shouldn't have to deal with ick. I have had a lot of fun talking about this. I like doing it this way because I can just kind of do things in long form, and most people understand that because it was a live event, it's going to be longer. But then, of course, you still do get the comments, your videos are way too damn long. Like, all right, well, whatever. But I've done videos that are 3 minutes long, and people say, oh, they're way too short. It's like, oh, can't please everybody. But I enjoy it, and the videos have been getting pretty good views, so I'm happy with it. I'm enjoying it, so there you go. Don't forget, folks, these shirts, they're available on the website right now. The link is in the description of this live stream and will be in the description of the re-upload. Don't forget to enter the contest for, not the contest, God, I can't even talk today. The giveaway for the FX4. It's not a contest. Nobody has to compete with anybody for anything. The giveaway for the Fluval FX4, I'm going to give that away this coming Thursday on the live stream at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You're going to want to be on it to watch it, because whoever wins has to be there, because if you're not watching, you can't win. I know that sounds like a crummy rule, but this is a huge prize, and I think it's worth it for you to need to be there when I call your name, hey, that's me. And then we can communicate privately, and I can get your information as far as where to send it. And I'll send it out Friday morning. It'll get to you first the next week, and everybody will be happy. So make sure you first enter. You can only enter once. All you have to do is put a comment in the video that I did on Thursday. And again, that video is in the description of this live stream. It's the Buying Fish Online live stream that I did on Thursday. Go on there. That's where I actually show the FX4. It's way over there on the shelf, so I can't show you today. But that's where I actually show it and go through the details of the contest. Only enter one time, one comment. If you put more than one, you're out. You have to be in the United States. You have to be a subscriber to KGTropicals, and you have to comment on the video. That's it. And I was going to say, well, yeah, you have to like the video too. I'm sorry. That video has like 700 likes. It's ridiculous. I love it. So yes, get in there. I mean, you can enter that giveaway the night of the live stream, as long as your comment is in there before I do the drawing. You're going to be good. At some point during the live stream itself, I'm going to hit the randomizer, and I'm going to pick a winner of a brand new FX4. So you got to be there to watch that. 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, only to my friends in the U.S. I'm sorry. So there you go, folks. I have had a lot of fun. Please do check out KGTropicals.com. The link is in the description for that, along with all of our other affiliates, Universal Rocks, Live Fish Direct, Aquarium Co-op, offering big deals if you enter Tank Talk into the promo box. So go check all of those out. But for now, I am done. I'm exhausted. It's been a long day. I'm going to go eat some dinner. I've had a lot of fun. I hope you have too. And until next time, I will see you later.